They thought I was just the heartbroken ex who'd fade away quietly. But when I walked into Daniel's wedding wearing a bride's dress with a pregnant woman by my side, ready to expose every dirty secret of his perfect family, let's just say some people underestimated me. Big mistake. Hit that subscribe button right now because this story has more twists than you can imagine. Trust me, you'll want to see how I turned my pain into the most legendary revenge. Don't skip a second of this. Let's get into it. I'm Gabriella, and 2 years ago, I thought I'd found my forever. Daniel Harrington walked into my life like something out of a romance novel. Tall, confident, successful lawyer with a smile that could melt hearts. We met at an art gallery opening where I was showcasing some of my fashion design sketches. He approached me, complimented my work, and we talked for hours. Within weeks, we were inseparable. Within a year, I moved into his luxury penthouse downtown. But here's what I didn't know then. I was walking straight into a trap. Daniel's family, the Harringtons, were everything I wasn't. Old money, powerful connections, and the kind of influence that could make or break people in this city. His father, Paul, owned half the commercial real estate around here. His mother, Catherine, ran in circles where your last name mattered more than your character. And his sister, Amanda. She was the definition of entitled and vicious. From day one, they made it clear I didn't belong. Catherine would look me up and down with this disgusted expression, like I'd tracked mud into her pristine world. She'd make comments about my background, my clothes, my education. "How quaint," she'd say with a fake smile that never reached her cold eyes. Amanda was worse. She'd spread rumors about me at their social events, tell people I was after Daniel's money, laugh with her friends loud enough for me to hear. And Daniel? He'd just shrug it off. "They'll come around," he'd say. "You're too sensitive, Gabriella. That's just how they are." Looking back now, I see it clearly. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the way he slowly made me doubt my own reality. But back then, I was in love. I thought if I just tried harder, proved myself worthy, they'd accept me. I was so stupid. The truth crashed down on me 6 months ago. Daniel had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter. Something he never did. Call it intuition or just dumb luck, but I looked. And what I found shattered everything. Messages. Hundreds of them. Between Daniel and a woman named Jennifer. But it wasn't just an affair, it was a calculated plan. I scrolled through months of conversations, my hands shaking, tears blurring my vision. Jennifer was from their world. Wealthy family, right connections, everything I wasn't. But worse than the affair were the other messages. Group chat, Daniel, Catherine, Amanda, and Paul. Catherine's words are burned into my brain. "Just keep Gabriella around until we finalize the Henderson deal, then dump her. We need her boss's signature on those contracts first." Amanda, "I can't wait to see her face when we kick her out. This is hilarious." Daniel, "Relax, she's clueless. Few more weeks, and she's gone." I wasn't just the other woman, I was a business transaction. They'd used me to get to my boss, who handled major property contracts. My relationship, my love, my entire life with Daniel, it was all a lie, a means to an end. I confronted them, all of them, together in that penthouse. I'll never forget the looks on their faces. Not guilt, not shame, amusement. Catherine actually laughed. "Did you really think you belonged here?" she said, crossing her arms. "Look at you, look at us. It was never going to work, dear." Amanda smirked. "You were just a placeholder, entertainment until the real thing came along." Daniel didn't even try to defend me. He just looked bored. "It was fun while it lasted, Gabriella. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." They threw me out that night, not just out of the apartment, out of my own life. My clothes, accidentally ruined. My belongings, lost in storage. They destroyed everything I'd kept there and left me with nothing but the outfit on my back and my purse. I spent that first night in a cheap motel, crying until I couldn't breathe, wondering how I'd let myself become so blind. For 3 days, I was a ghost. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think. I stared at the stained ceiling of that motel room and felt like my life was over. The Harringtons were too powerful. No one would believe me if I told them what happened. They'd already spread rumors that I was unstable, obsessed, making things up. But on the fourth day, something changed. The sadness burned away, and underneath it was pure rage. They thought they'd broken me? They thought I'd just disappear quietly like a good little victim? No. They wanted to destroy me, but all they did was wake something up inside me that I didn't know existed. I called Lucas, an old friend from college who'd become a private investigator. "I need your help," I told him. "I need everything on Daniel Harrington and his family. Every secret, every lie, every skeleton in their closet. Can you do that?" Lucas was silent for a moment. Then, "How deep do you want me to dig?" "All the way to the bottom." For 2 months, Lucas investigated while I rebuilt myself. I worked extra shifts, saved every penny, and planned. Lucas would send me updates, bank records, emails, photos, testimonies from people the Harringtons had wronged. The deeper he dug, the more rot he found. Paul's real estate company, built on bribes, illegal dealings, and destroying small businesses that wouldn't sell to him. Catherine's famous charity organization, a front for tax fraud and money laundering. Amanda's perfect social media life, funded by money stolen from investors. And Daniel? My brilliant lawyer boyfriend had cheated on his bar exam. Daddy had paid someone to take it for him. But the biggest discovery came on a rainy Tuesday. Lucas called me, voice tight with urgency. "Gabriella, you need to sit down for this." He'd found another woman, Cassandra. She was 26, worked as a waitress, and 8 months ago, Daniel had gotten her pregnant. She'd been his secret for over a year. While he was with me, he was with her too. When she told him about the baby, he threw money at her and threatened her into silence, told her if she ever contacted him or his family, they'd destroy her completely. She was 5 months pregnant now, alone, terrified, and struggling to survive. I had to find her. It took 3 days of searching, but I tracked Cassandra down to a small apartment across town. When she opened the door, I saw the fear in her eyes, probably expecting someone sent by the Harringtons to threaten her again. Instead, I told her who I was. We sat in her tiny living room, and I watched her break down as she told me everything. "He said he loved me," she whispered, hand on her belly. "He promised we'd get married. Then I got pregnant, and he became someone else. Cold, cruel. He threw an envelope of cash at me and told me to disappear or they'd make sure I lost everything, including my baby." Something crystallized in that moment. This wasn't just about me anymore. The Harringtons didn't just break hearts, they destroyed lives. How many other people had they crushed under their expensive shoes? "I have a plan," I told Cassandra, "and I need your help. But I won't lie to you. It's going to be public, it's going to be explosive, and it might get ugly. If you do this with me, there's no going back." She looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "He took everything from me. What else do I have to lose?" "After we're done?" I smiled. "He'll have nothing to lose either, because it'll already be gone." The wedding invitation arrived 2 weeks later. Heavy cream cardstock, gold lettering, my name written in perfect calligraphy like a slap in the face. Amanda had sent it. I recognized her handwriting on the envelope. It was a taunt, a final insult. "Come watch your ex marry someone better than you. Come see how little you mattered." I held that invitation and laughed out loud. They'd just handed me the perfect stage. I spent a week finding the perfect dress. Not just any wedding dress, the most stunning one I could afford. Pure white silk, fitted bodice, flowing skirt that moved like water. I looked like I was getting married myself. That was the point. I wanted to walk in there and make every person in that room stop breathing. Lucas helped me prepare everything else. We created a presentation, every piece of evidence we'd gathered, organized, and ready to display. Financial records showing the fraud, messages showing the cruelty, photos proving the lies. We practiced the timing 100 times. We set up anonymous social media accounts ready to post everything simultaneously. We contacted a lawyer to make sure I was protected legally. I even tipped off a few journalists about a major story developing at the Harrington wedding. The night before, Cassandra and I met one last time. "Are you sure?" I asked her. "Once we do this, there's no taking it back." She placed both hands on her pregnant belly and looked at me with more strength than I'd seen in her before. "I'm sure. That baby deserves better than a father who'd pretend she doesn't exist. Let's burn it all down." I barely slept. My mind ran through every possibility, every outcome, every potential problem. By the time the sun rose on the wedding day, I was running on pure adrenaline and determination. The venue was disgustingly perfect. A luxury estate with manicured gardens, white roses everywhere, a string quartet playing classical music, valets parking expensive cars, guests in designer clothes sipping champagne and pretending to be impressed. I watched from a distance as they arrived, 300 people here to witness the Harrington family's triumph. Lucas sat in a van nearby, computer open, ready to execute his part of the plan. "Audio check," he said through the tiny earpiece I wore. "Clear," I whispered back. "Camera check." I glanced down at the small camera pinned to my dress, hidden in the lace. "Recording." "Then let's give them a show they'll never forget." Cassandra met me at the side entrance. She wore a simple gray dress that showed her pregnancy clearly. Her hands were shaking. I took them in mine. "We've got this. Remember? We're not the villains here. We're just telling the truth." The ceremony had already started when we approached the main doors. Through the glass, I could see Daniel at the altar in his expensive suit, looking proud and confident. Jennifer stood before him in an ivory gown that probably cost more than most people's cars. Catherine and Paul sat in the front row, beaming. Amanda stood as maid of honor, smirking like she'd won some game. The officiant's voice carried through the door. "If anyone has any reason why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace." I looked at Cassandra. She nodded. I pushed open both doors as hard as I could. They slammed against the walls with a bang that echoed through the entire venue like thunder. 300 heads turned as one. The string quartet screeched to a stop. You could have heard a pin drop in the silence that followed. I walked down that aisle in my wedding dress, veil covering my face, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Cassandra walked beside me, hand on her pregnant belly, chin up despite the fear I knew she felt. Every step felt like power returning to my body. Every gasp from the crowd was fuel to my fire. Daniel's face went from confusion to recognition to absolute horror in about 3 seconds. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Jennifer turned, looking bewildered. Catherine stood up abruptly, her champagne glass falling and shattering. "What is the meaning of this?" she shrieked. I reached the altar and slowly lifted my veil, revealing my face. My eyes locked with Daniel's, and I smiled. "Hello, Daniel. Remember me?" "Of course you do. How could you forget the woman you used and threw away like garbage?" Jennifer's head snapped toward him. "Who is this? Daniel, who is she?" "I'm one of his victims," I said, turning to address the entire room. "But I'm not alone." I gestured to Cassandra, who stepped forward. Her voice shook but held firm. "I'm Cassandra. I'm 5 months pregnant with Daniel's child. He got me pregnant, paid me to disappear, and threatened to destroy me if I ever told anyone." The gasps were louder now. People were pulling out phones. Jennifer's face had gone completely white. Daniel started stammering, "This is insane. She's lying. I've never—" I pulled out my phone. "Want to hear the voice messages where you admit everything, Daniel? How about the texts where you laughed about using me? Or maybe everyone would like to see the bank transfers where you paid Cassandra hush money." I pressed play. His voice filled the venue through speakers Lucas had hacked. "She's so clueless. Another month and I'll dump her. Catherine's right. She was useful while she lasted." Jennifer's hand flew to her mouth. Her father stood up in the audience, face red with anger. Paul tried to rush forward. "Security, remove these women immediately." "I wouldn't do that, Paul," I called out, my voice steady and strong. "Not unless you want everyone here to know about your offshore accounts, the bribes you've paid, the illegal deals you've made, and the families you've destroyed to build your empire." He froze mid-step. I turned to the crowd, raising my voice. The Harrington family built everything you see on lies, fraud, and crushing anyone who got in their way, and I have proof. Lucas had done his job perfectly. The large decorative screen behind the altar, meant to show romantic photos of Daniel and Jennifer, suddenly flickered to life. Financial records appeared, bank statements showing millions moved to offshore accounts, emails discussing bribes and illegal dealings, messages from Catherine planning to eliminate business competitors, photos of forged documents, Daniel's fake bar exam certification highlighted in red. "Turn it off!" Catherine screamed. "Turn it off!" But it kept going. Every crime, every lie, every cruel thing they'd done to people displayed for everyone to see. Guests were recording on their phones. I could see the reporters at the back of the venue doing the same, eyes wide with shock. Amanda tried to run for the exit but stumbled in her heels. Jennifer tore the engagement ring off her finger and threw it directly at Daniel's face. "You disgusting liar! We're done! My family will sue you for everything!" Her entire family stood and marched out, her mother crying, her father shouting threats. Other guests started leaving too, some in disgust, others probably worried about their association with the Harringtons. The carefully constructed facade was crumbling in real time. Paul grabbed Daniel by the shoulders, shaking him. "Do you have any idea what you've done? What this will cost us?" Catherine had collapsed into a chair, her perfect composure shattered. For once, she had nothing to say. Daniel turned to me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Desperation. "Gabriella, please, why are you doing this? We can talk, we can work this out." I stepped closer to him, close enough that only he could hear my next words. "You wanted to break me, Daniel. You and your family tried to destroy who I was because you thought I was weak. But you know what? You just made me stronger. This isn't revenge. This is justice. And honestly," I smiled, "this is the best day of my life." Sirens wailed outside. The police were arriving. I'd sent them all the evidence of financial crimes before the ceremony. Officers walked in, speaking to Paul about investigations into his company. Catherine's charity was being shut down pending fraud charges. Daniel's law firm had been notified about his fake credentials. Everything they'd built was falling apart right there in front of 300 witnesses and countless phone cameras streaming it live. I took Cassandra's hand and we walked back down that aisle together. The doors opened to chaos outside, reporters shouting questions, police escorting Paul away, guests scattering like rats from a sinking ship. But we kept walking, heads high, until we reached Lucas's van. "Did we do it?" Cassandra asked, her voice small. I looked back at the venue, at the Harrington Empire burning down behind us. Yeah, we did it. The aftermath was everywhere. Social media exploded. News outlets ran the story for weeks. Harrington Dynasty Falls was the headline on every major newspaper. Paul was arrested for fraud and bribery. Catherine faced charges for money laundering through her fake charity. Amanda's perfect influencer life disappeared overnight as sponsors dropped her. Daniel was disbarred, his fake credentials exposed to the entire legal community. Jennifer's family sued for wedding costs and emotional damages. Other victims of the Harringtons started coming forward with their own stories. Lawsuits piled up, assets were frozen, everything they'd spent years building collapsed in a matter of weeks. But here's the beautiful part. 6 months later, I'm thriving. Cassandra and I became unlikely best friends bonded by survival. She had a healthy baby girl named Hope, and while Daniel has court-ordered visitation rights, he barely uses them. His own daughter is a reminder of his failures. Cassandra works as my assistant now because, yes, I started my own fashion design company. The viral story brought attention and support I never expected. People rallied behind us, real people who'd been hurt by powerful families like the Harringtons. Investors reached out, including some of Daniel's former business rivals who loved seeing him fall. I got featured in magazines as the woman who took down a dynasty. My designs are selling. My company is growing. I moved into a beautiful apartment with huge windows and natural light. And Lucas? Turns out spending months planning revenge with someone creates a pretty strong bond. We've been dating for 3 months now. It's slow, it's healthy, it's real. He sees me for who I actually am, not what I can do for him. That's worth more than anything the Harringtons ever offered. Last week, I was preparing for my first major fashion show. Standing backstage, adjusting a model's dress, I glanced out the window. And there he was, Daniel, standing across the street, staring up at the building. He looked terrible, unshaven, cheap clothes, hollow eyes. The confident lawyer was gone. In his place stood a broken man who'd lost everything. Our eyes met through the glass. For a moment I felt something. Not pity exactly, maybe just acknowledgement that this was real, this was final. Then I smiled, turned away, and walked back to my models. My show was about to start, my new chapter was already being written. He was just a character from an old story I'd finished reading. That's my story of how I turned my worst nightmare into my greatest comeback. If someone's trying to break you right now, remember this: you're stronger than you know. The Harringtons thought they could use me and throw me away. Instead, they created someone who refused to be a victim. They wanted to write my ending. Instead, I took the pen from their hands and wrote my own. Drop a comment if you've ever gotten revenge on someone who wronged you. Smash that like button if you think the Harringtons got exactly what they deserved. Subscribe for more shocking true stories. And hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Remember, never let anyone dim your light. Some people deserve exactly what they get. And karma? Karma always collects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay powerful.